question.
Yes, Connor.
Why did Jon Snow bring a ladder to the wall?
Uh, I'm not sure.
Because he knew his chances in life were always up in the air.
Of course.
Hello, and welcome to Game of Thrones Season 8. We are doing Episode 2, United Seven Kingdoms. We've just done Episode 1, Winterfell. Bad. Bad show.
Bad. Very bad. Very bad.
Yeah. Cold place for a southern girl, etc., etc.
I like it. I thought the first episode was really bad. I think a lot of it was just very basic, terrible dialogue throughout the entire episode, and just it only sort of started getting interesting by near the end, and that was pretty much it. I think the final shot is the most interested in the episode I got, because obviously it's a part of what the ending of the very first episode of the show was. And everything else was just kind of just there was just so much talking. There was so much talking and not a lot of actual intriguing developments between characters. So yeah, that kind of stunk.
Yeah, they forced in a conflict between Daenerys and Sansa. And it's just very...
yeah, because they're the two sort of... One's, I guess, the Queen of Winterfell, or whatever you want to say, the equivalent of whatever that is. And then Dany being, the quote-unquote rightful heir to the Iron Throne. Because they have to butt heads, because of course they have. It's classic. Women hate each other. So people say...
Right.
It's a classic, man.
Mm.
But yeah, not at all cliche at all. Yeah, it stunk. The episode was really, really bad.
It was. I think this episode is interesting. I think it's... Of the 6 episodes of the final season, I feel like Episode 2 has the... I was gonna say biggest dispersion, but actually that's wrong. I think this episode might have... It's probably I would say, the least controversial of the 6.
Mm-hmm.
When people talk about how bad Season 8 is, this is not the episode that they tend to go to first. They tend to go... Usually, it tends to be the last 4, for obvious reasons, if you've seen it. But it's an interesting case, I think. I think this episode is an interesting case because it exists in a very, very, very disliked season of television. But it's also... Yeah, I don't want to spoil it too much, but I think I think this episode is an interesting talking point, is what I would say about it.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I guess I have to wait and see then.
Given the fact that there was a little bit of potential coming off the last sort of 5 minutes of episode 1, it does have sort of a responsibility to capitalize on that potential, I would say. Because Jon finding out his true heritage is like the most interesting thing the show has done in quite some time.
It's got the most interesting thing to be explored going forward. Really, it's like it's the whole conflict of like this massive revelation that's been building up since the very first episode of the show, and you expect it to be sort of the forefront of the season as a whole, along with the Night King and the White Walkers. Because that's literally what's been set up since the very beginning.
Brian Cogman has served us a very mixed bag over the years.
Mixed bag of shit.
The things we do for love.
Ah.
So why have you abandoned your house and family now?
First line Bran said that's actually like good. But that's because it's from season 1.
I feel like we're approaching some hope for the show, aren't we?
Yeah.
It's like it's building something good out of this. Like actually something's interesting's happening.
You know, the whole point of the show.
Yeah.
You put aside everything to fight for the living. Because that's the fucking point of the show.
Using really effective things from Jaime's past to create a story. It's actually really interesting.
You knew Cersei was lying and let me believe otherwise. Or you didn't know at all. Which makes you either a traitor or a fool.
I was a fool.
Not for the first time. Cersei
Okay, so why is he your hand still? Why have you not replaced him if you keep thinking he's a fool?
I suspect one of you will be wearing this before it's all over.
Then why aren't they wearing it now? What's the point of waiting?
Poor little sod.
Hey, you have something better to do?
You made my weapon yet?
Just as soon as I'm done making a few.
Haven't you got like 2 weapons already?
You should make mine first. Even a smith's apprentice can do better than really bad. What do they look like?
Don't point out the
Smell
flaws in the
like alcohol.
dialogue,
How
Aya.
hard are they to kill? I know death. He's got many faces. I look forward to seeing this.
Why?
I mean, she's a good darts player, we know that.
That's a good 180, that is.
180, Lady Stark!
Arya, you require 40. There we go, this is the scene we've been waiting for 8 seasons. It'd be better if Bran wasn't a fucking zombie.
You won't be able to help us in this fight if I let them murder you first.
Oh, let's cut away, okay.
As you say, it's kind of like because Brandon's a zombie, you know, you can't do much with that conversation.
That's like the closest to good you can get with that Bran character.
Yeah,
But
because
it's
he
so
resolves
unsatisfying.
he resolves everything instantly because he already knows everything and he has no feelings.
But he's also not Bran. He's saying he's not Bran.
You always knew exactly what she was. You loved her anyway.
More, give me more.
Ooh, Pod's hair is longer.
He's beefed up.
Based.
He's alright. Still has a lot to learn.
He's more than alright.
Sure you'll teach.
When I heard you named Tyrion your hand, it broke my heart.
When I named him Hand, I didn't know if I'd ever see you again.
You made the right choice.
No.
Who was the first?
Someone taller.
There it is.
There it is.
What happens after? What about the North?
Apologies, my lady. Your grace.
Fucking stop cutting scenes short because you can't answer the hard questions.
It's like, it's so close to being good. It's so close.
Hey! Full circle. He's the one character I think has actually had like a complete arc that's like survived from start to finish.
Yeah, because the bad moments haven't really sabotaged his arc, have they?
No, they've just been stupid writing decisions. Safest place to be. That's very interesting choices of words.
Where all the corpses are.
Yeah.
The dead that could be
Connor,
raised.
what's the whole gimmick of the army they're fighting?
Oh, that they're dead.
Oh, so they make dead people. The boys are back in town.
Crow. The big woman's still here? They're coming.
And most importantly, We have allies.
These conversations are so just like everything is very simple. It's
Yeah.
just I say this, and then you say this, and then I say this, and then you say this.
Yeah.
It's like the intention's there, but it's hard to feel invested, I feel.
Yeah.
It's like so simple.
We'll hold off the rest of them for as long as we can.
When the time comes, Sir Davos and I will be on the walls to give you the signal.
And you're
for
outside the
exit.
walls, why?
Sir Davos is perfectly capable of waving a torch.
But at least we die together.
That's such an old joke now.
Yeah.
It's so expired.
It's a long story.
If only we were trapped in a castle. In the middle of winter with nowhere to go.
Oh, let's cut away. It's their favourite thing to do this season. Is cut away from interesting conversations.
Yep.
Right when they're about to develop. Everyone's got a fucking circle on their fucking uniforms.
Mm-hmm. Oh, racism.
Wow, racism.
And now our watch begins.
Haha. That's good. That's actually quite a good line.
Yeah.
They'll be safe down in the crypt.
Will they? You keep thinking about it. If you actually think about it for more than a second, you'll realise it might not be a good idea.
The whole crypt thing is just so bad.
It's so obvious.
I've saved Gilly more than once. I stole a considerable number of books from the Citadel Library. Survived the Fist of the First Man.
Ooh.
You need me out there.
Well, if that's what it's come to, we really are fucked.
Well, calling you fuck.
I was sleeping with my sister, and you had one friend in the world who was sleeping with his sister.
I was speaking in relative terms.
Half a cup.
And you?
No, thank you. I should try and get some sleep.
You really think any of us are going to sleep tonight?
Full cup. That feels like season 2 banter. It's like this episode they're teasing us with stuff like that we actually like. Like moments of like, oh, remember this? Remember when this used to be like really good stuff?
Maybe I will have that drink.
All right. What a weird way to end that scene.
3.
I mean, it's a very easy number to remember.
Yeah, he's trying to hide it.
We're probably going to die soon.
I don't like this. This is weird.
It is weird, yeah.
It's a bit weird. They met when she was a minor. Just letting people know. She was like how old when they first met?
Yeah, she was very young when they met.
Yeah, it's just a bit strange. You got aunt incest, and then what could be considered grooming.
I guess it's accurate in the medieval sense, but whether or not I actually like watching
sure.
it is different.
But like, this has been painted as of like, oh wow, look at this, guys.
I think Maisie was 22 when she filmed this.
Oh yeah, yeah.
This definitely feels like trying to satisfy like a fan request.
Oh yeah, because they will probably it's
Shipping.
just weird. It's a bit weird.
Women can't be knights.
Why not?
Tradition.
Fuck tradition.
I don't want to be a knight.
I'd knight you 10 times over.
You don't need... Kneel, Lady Brienne. Do you want to be a knight or not?
In the name of the warrior, I charge you to be brave.
In the name of the Father,
I charge you to be just. In the name of the Mother, I charge you to defend the innocent. Arise, Brienne of Tarth, a knight of the Seven Kingdoms.
Knight of the Seven Kingdoms.
This might be one of the best scenes we've had in literal seasons.
Yeah, that is astonishing.
That might be the best scene since season 4.
Probably. Oh!
I'll wield it in his memory. To guard the realms of men.
I'll see you when it's through. I hope we win.
Actual hopeful storytelling. For the first time in ages.
High in the halls of the kings who are gone, Jenny would dance with her ghost. Never wanted to leave. Never wanted to leave. Never wanted to leave.
Who knew Podrick could sing? Your thoughts on A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms?
I think this episode realistically is probably average, but I think what this episode, weirdly, because I know what comes, this kind of feels like the swan song of Game of Thrones in a way. This feels like this is sort of the look how far this show has come and look at what we've actually achieved. For the most part, there are still bad scenes and there's still really cringy scenes and there's scenes that have just weird bits in it. But there are moments in this episode that make me feel not just, oh, remember when this show was good in a, oh, look how much it's fallen. It's a, remember all the great stuff that was a part of this show and how amazingly built up some of these characters were and are. Because there's still a few characters that still work. And I feel like this episode is sort of the reminder that this could have gone down really differently. Obviously, knowing what we know, from this moment onwards, it could have been so different and so satisfying. But that's for the future episodes to discuss. This episode, I think, just, a lot of really strange parts, a lot of stuff that weren't good, but there was some actual stuff that were really interesting to watch and dissect in my mind.
Yeah, I feel like we've kind of, this episode for me, it kind of like feels like we've gone sort of back to around that sort of season 5-ish era, where it was sort of like the episodes had problems for sure, and I do think this episode has problems, but there are redeeming qualities, and obviously, as we mentioned, one scene in particular is a massive standout.
Yeah, easily. Think, the title of the episode is representative of the best scene of the episode by far, because it's a scene that is so fueled with history between two characters. And to be fair, all the characters in that room have gone through so much, and it's sort of represented in that scene itself, I think. Even with minor characters like Podrick, I think it just makes me feel like, man, we were so close. We were so close to having a show that was fantastic for 4 seasons, had an okay 5th season, 2 bad seasons, but it could have recovered, and this scene I think proves it if they just stuck with it.
Yeah, I think the best thing about
was intended.
I think the best thing about this episode is Jaime and Brienne. I think they are the highlight.
Easily.
Yeah.
Easily, they're the best part of the episode. Easily, the best. They have the best conversations, and it's the episode sort of, obviously with the title in mind, it obviously does. But this episode is revolved around them two, specifically. I feel like for me, easily from the start to the finish, from the very first scene to the very like almost the last scene with them two.
Yeah,
because it's because it shows that Jaime has changed, and it shows how far he's come as a person. Even with all his flaws that he discussed with Tyrion, he knew what Cersei was and he loved her anyway. He's extremely flawed, but as a person, he's not a bad person. He just isn't.
Yeah, I mean the core of Jaime, in terms of like the source material, is that he knows that it's like he can never undo the things he's done, but he can still try. He can still try to redeem himself going forward and get some kind of resolution out of that. And it's things like him choosing to fight for the living, choosing to submit himself to Brienne, and also choosing to knight her, which is something she always wanted. Lied about wanting, but and Podrick knew that, but he knows her so well that he knew that it would mean the world to her to do that. It would be like the highlight of her life to have that happen after everything she's been through. It's very clear that this episode understands Jaime, understands Brienne. It's obviously all based on things that have been built up to this point, all things that we've already seen, but it capitalizes that in a way that actually makes sense. George R. R. Martin recently at a Comic-Con like a few months ago, someone asked him, she said, "Oh, can you knight me like Jaime knighted Brienne?" And he said, "Well, that hasn't happened in the books yet." And he said that, but I think a lot of us can imply from that this is a moment that has been planned for Brienne from the start. Is that the resolution to Brienne's character is that she is knighted and becomes a Sir, which has never been... It's the first woman to ever be knighted in Westeros. It's like a very, very important moment for her. After everything she's done, it's kind of like the fruits of her labor. And they do a very good job of building up to that scene, I think. I do wonder, though, I do sort of think that when it comes to Jaime's sort of potential conversations and conflicts with people like Daenerys and Sansa and Jon, I think they could have done more. I think if they had more episodes, they could have done more with that. The fact that Jaime killed the Mad King. The fact that Jaime had a war with Robb and had a fight with Ned. The fact that Jaime pushed Bran out of the tower. Like, all of those things, they do address them, but I feel like they could have done way more with them. One of the biggest issues is that Bran isn't Bran anymore, and so that conversation doesn't really result in something that, you know, meaningful. It could have been way more meaningful than it was. So I do think there is a slight bit of missed potential when it comes to Jaime's other interactions, but I think the thing they get right is the Brienne stuff. That's what I would say. Some of the conversations with Tyrion, I think they do work with Jaime, but they just sort of, again, it's like, it's still like this character has been stripped away, like it has been chipped down. It's not as strong as it was in a lot of ways.
No, it's not. Yeah.
And it's sort of echoes of Jaime as opposed to the actual great Jaime that was there in like season 3, for example.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's funny because I've seen this scene multiple times before, but the camera that I used to make this video actually, like, I actually did let out tears at that scene with Brienne. Even though I knew what was going to happen, it's still so moving. It's a very moving scene.
Yeah, because it involves a lot of, like, when the show was, like, well written between, especially these two characters in season 3. I think that was sort of the best those two sort of got, because that scene in the pool, in the tub, I think is one of Jamie's best scenes, and I feel like that's such a largely overhanging narrative over them two, and I think that being played for this scene in sort of like vague terms, it just makes that scene, I think, just more powerful because of what they know about each other that other people don't really.
Well, it's also because
it makes like, that scene more impactful.
It's Brienne's character is so perfectly orchestrated, because obviously Catelyn is between the two of them that kind of bonds them and unites them. But she believes in a lot of the same things that Ned Stark believed in, and Ned Stark was the one who caused Jaime so much inner strife after killing the Mad King. In a way, she kind of represents Ned, but the other part of her as well is that she represents everything that is opposite to Cersei. And whilst I do think that Jaime's sort of like breakup with Cersei happened too late in the show, I do think that they dragged it out far too late. The fact that it happened at all, and Brienne sort of representing the polar opposite of what Cersei is very integral to his character. And so it's kind of like Jaime is putting things right in the sense that he's finally detached himself from Cersei and is knighting Brienne, is joining her side in the fight again for the living, which again is in character. The reason why he killed the Mad King in the first case is because he cares about the living. He actually cares about whether people live or die. And that's why he's continuing the fight against the White Walkers, is because he cares about the living. So yeah, it all fits very well. I think the use of Podrick as well throughout this episode is really well done, in the sense that he's completely silent until he starts singing. And that all of his character is told through his reactions. In the sense that he knows Brienne so well at this point. And you really get the sense that Podrick has fully matured as a person as well. He feels like he's coming to
such a minor character, but you get a sense of his journey, even no matter how small.
He's become a man now.
Yeah.
So yeah, that for me was the peak of the episode, but I will say I don't think it saves the episode as a whole. I think the episode as a whole has too many issues, and it doesn't...
definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, it's season 8.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But my sort of common, like, overall issue with the whole thing is that I think a lot of the dialogue is just so paint by numbers, and it's very...
It's so basic talk. It's so basic.
Yeah. Even
and
scenes
it's just so dry.
Even scenes that have good intention behind it, like Dany and Sansa, the conversation they have, everything is so just, I say something, you say something, I say something. It doesn't have that energy to it.
What happens after?
It's too prepared, it's too fake, it's too just... It lacks personality. I'd say I'm quite conflicted on Daenerys in this episode. I feel like there's some good stuff in there, but there's also bad stuff as well. It just sort of, I don't know how to feel.
Again, him berating Tyrion, yet still keeps him as the Hand, yet repeatedly says that he is a fool, and that he keeps thinking he's going to be not the Hand anymore. Why is she waiting? What's the point? Because if you don't think he's good enough for a job, why wait?
Yeah. It's like, I think the conflict with Daenerys this season for me comes from the fact that it's very clear that Emilia Clarke is bringing a lot of bravado. Like, she actually has... I feel like she has more presence in the scenes than she had before. But at the same time, her character's reactions are all very simple. It lacks complexity.
Yeah, I would agree.
And there's too much, like, stating intentions. There's way too much stating intentions, and it just kind of ruins the whole experience of it being a presentation drama. And, like, her scene with Jon at the end when she finds out the truth about him, it is very, like, that's not true, that's impossible. It kind of has that, like, same sort of thing about it. But it lacks the depth.
I see what you mean.
Lacks the depth, though. Lacks the depth and lacks the sort of...
Well, because we don't get enough time with it, really. We don't get to sort of sit with it and sort of talk about it. It's sort of just the reaction itself, and then the promise of further conversations and sort of development and stretching that out, because they need to end the episode. And this is the thing, I will sort of think about it at the end here, and this is where the problems sort of start. So like, the battle's happening halfway through the season, and that's sort of going to be it. This is sort of the issue. We're going right into the battle already, and we've only had 2 episodes.
Yeah.
And it's mainly just been, the fight is coming. Also, let's tie up a few loose ends from previous seasons to give characters some conclusions.
Yep.
You know, I feel like Theon's journey is sort of concluded in terms of coming full circle from where he started off at the beginning of the show till now. Same with Brienne when she came in, getting her sort of scene at the end, becoming a knight. You know, there was a lot of, you know, I feel like there's a lot of characters who had that sort of catharsis of an ending in a way. Not obviously they're gone, but their point in the show is sort of now come full circle. That's the only benefit I can see with a lot of these.
Yeah.
But with stuff like Dany, it's sort of like the promise of this eventually being concluded, but now we have what I thought and what's been set up throughout the entire show is the main threat, which is the dead are coming for the living. And it's sort of happening halfway through the season.
Yep. Yes, it's and also the other problem throughout the episode as well is that there's so many cutaways where it like teases something and then it just changes scene.
This season, more than anything, you notice the amount of scenes that are started go for like 3 minutes, and then just when we're about to get to the part where the most interesting part of that conversation is about to happen, we then cut away to another scene. It happens so often in these first 2 episodes, and it gets really annoying because we never used to cut away from those conversations. We would actually see those conversations to their ends almost every time. It's rare that that actually happened. And now it feels like every other scene that happens, we cut away to something else as soon as the conversation becomes interesting. Like the last scene with Dany and Jon, it's sort of forced to be the end of the conversation, but in narratively, there's more to actually talk about and discuss, but no, we need to save that because obviously they're not going to die because that's the whole conflict.
That's right. Yeah, it's a weird thing. Jon was very like again. Jon just found out the truth about himself at the end of the last episode, and he doesn't.
I'm actually surprised. I'm very surprised we had that scene at the end, really. And I
Yeah.
thought, oh, this is actually quite interesting having this discussion now, just before the White Walkers come, but then we don't get the full conversation we probably would want.
Yeah,
and it's not satisfying to cut it short.
Jon was actually not in this episode that much. He had like 3 scenes. Surprisingly.
No, he's not the main focus because other characters sort of, like we said, I think Jaime is probably the main character of the episode. So that's fine. But I think, again, it comes down to the fact that we're having the battle next episode. Because I know, because I've already seen it. I saw it when it came out. But it's just so strange that we're getting such a short season to wrap everything up. We need to wrap up everything that's happening in King's Landing in sort of a catharsis way with Cersei. Everything to do with everybody in Winterfell, every character like Jaime, Brienne, Tyrion, Dany, Jon. All those characters need to have endings. But also the main thing that has been up since the very, very first scene of the show, that is seemingly going to be ended sooner rather than later. That's the sort of, because that's what everyone would be thinking at this point, but they're not expecting it to go the way it did because they thought this is the ending and this is a great show. It's going to end spectacularly. But it's the fact that I know it's obviously playing into it. But it's just strange that we're getting this now. We're not getting sort of we've had nothing. It was all in Winterfell this episode. There was nothing on King's Landing. We didn't get anything of Cersei because they're not involved in this. They're not a part of this battle in any way. They only got talked about at the very start because she didn't send an army to help. yeah, it's just very strange, very strangely structured in how the events are actually happening.
Yeah, and also, as I was going to say, like, the following on from John finding out, the lack of focus on the fact that he's just found that out until, like, the last scene.
It almost seems like it's not playing with him at all. It's only in that a scene with Sam where he asked if he's told her yet, and he said no. We're never getting the sort of, like, John sitting on his own, contemplating what he has learned, and he knows it to be true because he believes it. We know he does. And there's nothing on that. There's
realistically,
struggling with that.
In that scene at the start, you'd think that John would have been a bit clocked out and not focusing on what they're talking about, because his mind's in another place, surely.
Yeah, because something so colossal that if they do survive, there's this massive, massive elephant in the Seven Kingdoms, which is John.
That's right. And then also, like, he also has, I feel, one of the weakest scenes in the episode, which is when Ed and Tormund come back from the last half. Like, the dialogue is so simple and basic, and just there's no weight. Yeah. There's no weight to the scene.
The better scene is when it's just the three of them on the wall talking about where they started. That's a more stronger scene. That scene is it almost is ruined by Tormund because of, like, haha, I interrupted you as you were going to go hug your actual best friends.
Yeah, true.
It's just like, Tormund is really weird, and to be fair, it's not just this episode, it's been sort of the last 2 seasons. He feels like such a, can we just put him in to give some comic relief, but actually, what it actually does is it distracts from the good parts of the episode. Him talking about a story where he killed a giant when he was 10 and then was in bed with the wife and then sucked her tits for 3 months for milk.
It's like, that's a funny story to do, but it's just the wrong time. It's just a weird time
and then have him drink his alcohol, just sludging it all in his mouth, and just be like, oh, what an awkward way to end the scene. It's like, yeah, it was really awkward. It kind of was really weird and not in a good way.
Yeah, it's just wrong place, wrong time to have that scene happen.
It was. Mm-hmm.
The other thing I really don't like about this episode is all of their battle tactics. Like hiding in the crypts, for example, or having the armies go outside of the fortress.
It was very brief. It's very brief what you actually see, and it's sort of so small that you don't really notice it. And so I get why some people who eventually turned it on the season after the next episode, they just didn't really notice what was going on here about what was about to come.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not.
I just find it so strange. You have some of the best battle minds in the world sitting in that room, and they can't come up with something better.
Everyone out front, all of our horses out front. Information waiting. Yeah, that's not set up like, I'm not a battle expert, but I know that's putting all your eggs in one basket like that.
You don't have to be an expert to understand that the crypts are where dead people are.
Yeah, that also is a very stupid idea from the start, because we're fighting an army of the dead that raises the dead. Maybe staying in the place where all the dead people isn't actually the smartest idea.
It's like, the reason why they're doing that is so that they can have the dead people rise from the ground, but, like, the character should know that. Yeah, shall we talk about this scene with Sansa and Daenerys? Like, I feel like there's good ideas behind this scene, but I just don't like the way the scene is spoken. It's an idea that
obviously could work, but I feel like it's just so awkward. But not in a narratively satisfying way. It's just 2 actresses who aren't that great at subtlety. Like, it's not subtle at all. There's no sort of, like, actual feeling of, like, them trying to actually talk things out.
Well, those two, I mean, they do quite
just
different...
sort of really bitchy.
They do quite different things, and they don't really mesh well.
Yeah.
Because on one hand, you got Sophie Turner, who just kind of does, like, almost zero expression apart from when necessary. Like, she tries to just be very stoic and, like, flat. And then you have Amelia Clarke.
Because that's her character now. She's absorbed all the smarts of other characters who are now dead.
And then you got Amelia Clarke, who is the opposite, where she can't help but be like a clown with her face. Like, she's so expressive.
I mean, yeah, that shot that you can have on screen right now, like, that shot is just so funny.
It's a meme.
It's been a meme. It still is a meme. People still use it, and people still use it in videos and stuff. It's sort of a scene that is now even funny in hindsight once the season ended.
It's kind of like the scene is trying to be this whole thing of like, you know, we come from different places, we have entered this situation at odds, but actually we should relate to each other on how we're both women. Like, it's one of those scenes.
But then they don't, which is obviously interesting, but it's not played interestingly. That's sort of the big sort of like, ooh.
I also do wonder, there's an interesting thought I have about Season 8 where Daenerys makes this point that she wants to keep the great minds surrounded to her at this time, like Tyrion and Varys, people who can't battle. I understand the idea that you wouldn't want people like that too far away because they might turn coat on you and join someone else. But I do wonder what the value is of keeping them there if they can't fight. Like, why wouldn't you just have them somewhere else, like at Dragonstone, for example? And I think it's curious. I think it's a curious thing. They obviously have to have these characters in Winterfell because you have to have those conversations take place between all those characters. I understand why Tyrion's there, maybe because he's the hand of the queen. So maybe that's necessary. But I find Varys' place in all this very curious. I don't understand why he's there. One of the other issues I have with the episode is this whole idea that they're acknowledging that Tyrion's made mistakes. They're trying to, like, make it real. That it's like, oh, Tyrion's made mistakes, but he's still a good guy, blah, 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 blah. But then Daenerys said, I hired him as my hand because he was ruthless and because he was intelligent. But it doesn't, like, excuse the fact that the writing hasn't earned this Tyrion downfall. They haven't earned him fumbling everything. It just sort of happened. They're trying to set up, like, this real big tension between Tyrion and Daenerys, which they also did a bit of setup for in Season 7. But I just, I don't know. It's just weird to think about because I don't believe it. I don't believe Tyrion's mistakes don't come across as genuine to me. They feel very forced. Like, I didn't really care about Tyrion in the episode until we got... I mean, I guess there was a bit of dialogue with him and Jaime where it's kind of like harkening back to old things. That did work. But it felt like Tyrion was just stuck in that whole, oh, he's been a bad hand, until they got to the scene where he got drunk, where he actually kind of became Tyrion Lannister again for a little bit. As we knew him. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not amused. Actually, you know what? Let's talk about an actual good scene. I do really like the scene with Sam and Jorah. I think that actually works really well.
Yeah, that's a very good scene. It's a very small thing, but yeah, I really like that scene quite a bit.
Like, your father taught me how to be a man, so I want to help his son defend people. You know, defend the realms of men. It's like, it's almost that scene felt like Jorah Mormont unofficially becoming part of the Night's Watch, if you get what I mean. Which is like him.
Yeah, maybe in a sense, yeah. Yeah, that's another character, I guess you could... Even though I feel that's a character that still has, like, stuff he needs doing, I would say. There's still some stuff you can do with him, I think.
Again, him defending Tyrion to Daenerys is just like, well, Tyrion... Like, those mistakes... It's not... Like, they're making this come across like Tyrion's mistakes come from, like, a genuine sort of... Oh, but it's okay, because he's a good person, you know? And he's just sort of, like... You know, he's had a few errors. You gotta forgive him. It's like, I feel like this is massively overlooking the just drastic fuck-ups that Tyrion's had.
Wildly out of character fuck-ups.
To the point where it's like reasonable to see why Daenerys would think he's a turncloak and he's actually fighting for his family and not her.
Mm-hmm.
It's just very weird. Strange. What do you think of the scene with... Because Davos Seaworth has a couple of scenes. The main one he has is with Gilly and that girl who looks like Shireen with the burn on her face.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's a very small scene, I think. I think there's little bits you can get from it, but I don't think there's too much. I think it's just sort of like showing that everyone wants to fight, even children. But again, they keep sending them to the crypt, which is like, I don't think that's the smartest thing to do.
Yeah. They just kind of like, again, it's like they wanted to have that scene where Davos is reminded of Shireen, and it kind of, I don't know, brings back pain.
I was
for
just
him.
reminding us that Davos is still here.
Yeah.
Because he really does not do anything in almost any scene. And he hasn't for like multiple seasons.
It's like the last scene he had that was really purposeful was at the end of season 6 with the Red Woman. But then after that, it's just
that's
nothing.
pretty much it.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's really not much to him at the moment.
No.
Other than just being a decent person, I guess.
I kind of mentioned a bit about Bran and Jaime, with Bran as all. I mean, they are setting up that Theon wants to avenge what he did to Bran in season 2.
Yeah.
Which, you know, is in character. I like Theon. I like Theon's part in this. I think that works. The small little part he has. But, you know, kind of what I said before about both his interactions with Jaime and with Theon, it's just like Bran lacks any interesting intrigue at all. Because he knows everything and feels nothing. I'm not Brandon Stark anymore. I'm something else.
Yeah. Yeah.
We got that little, you know, sort of scene with Grey Worm and Missandei, you know. Like him saying that after this is all over and Dany has peace of the world, we should travel back to your home of Narth and my soldiers can protect your lands. Like, it's very much just setting up this idea of like where they want to go after the war's over if they survive.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's a very simple little thing.
Simple, sweet stuff. Okay, let's talk about something I actually do have pretty significant issues with, and I think you'd agree with me. Is all the stuff with Gendry and Arya.
Yeah.
He makes her weapon, confesses that he's Robert's bastard, which again is important. It's important to have him do that. And then they have sex, because she wanted to do it before she dies. It feels feels like fan service to me, this moment. But also the other problem being that Arya, kind of like, not as extreme, but similar to Bran, she just lacks character. Same with Sansa, they all just lack character. And so it's really hard to invest in this connection between the two of them, because they just don't have the same level of humanity. Yeah. What were your thoughts on the whole Gendry Arya thing?
It's just really weird, isn't it? It's just very strange. Not a fan.
I feel it's jarring. It's quite jarring.
It's very jarring. Very, 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 very jarring.
I just don't feel like Arya Stark would give a shit about this sort of thing. It's not in her nature. She's never come across to me as a sexual character. It doesn't seem like it's on her list, if you get what I mean. And I feel like the only reason they've done this is because they know that fans wanted to see it. Some fans, not all of them, obviously. Some people didn't like this scene, but I just feel like, yeah, they only did this because some fans wanted to see Arya and Gendry hook up, you know, at some point in the show. Yeah. Do you want to add anything more on what I said about Theon?
I just really enjoy just sort of I guess sort of full circle moment with him. I think sort of where now he's ended up for this next episode.
Yeah, they've kind of put this exclamation point on the idea that Sansa has developed feelings for Theon. I think that's what they're trying to do. Which I guess I can understand, like, because Theon did save her life. You know, saved her from the Boltons. So, you know, I can sort of see the idea that Sansa has grown very fond of Theon because of that. But again, like a lot of things, the connection between them lacks because of her side of it. Because she sort of, I mean, her sort of being emotional in front of Daenerys when she hugs Theon is a really good moment because it actually breaks that wall she's put up. And actually shows Daenerys that Sansa has actually got a lot of humanity behind all of that sort of facade she puts up. But, you know, again, her character's lacking, so it's really only Theon's side of it that I care about. And it's little simple things. It's like he's returned to fight for Winterfell, and he wants to defend Bran to avenge the idea that, you know, he wants to right the wrongs that he did to the Starks. Yeah. There's also that scene with the Hound and Beric as well with Arya, which again, it's just like, feels like it was trying to be funny, I guess.
Yeah, tried.
So it's interesting, like, going through all that, I actually think there's quite a bit of negatives, and there's probably more negatives than positives in this episode. It's just that it's probably remembered more fondly because of the highlights. Like, the highlights of the episode are actually quite, like, really good. Yeah, written by Brian Cogman and directed by David Nutter. It is a dark episode, similar to how the previous episode was also dark, but because it's at night and there's a lot of fire in the scenes that light up what you can see, I do think visually it is better to look at than episode 1 overall.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It was way more clear.
I
can actually see in the dark slightly.
Yeah. I wouldn't say it was amazing visually, but, you know, it did a good job.
No.
They probably, in the more dramatic moments, like the better scenes, they did some pretty good sort of panning and zooming to tell the story. So there were good techniques in there. But overall, I wasn't, like, massively fussed with the direction. I felt like it was just sort of standard. Probably the best looking scene is the fireplace location, I'd say. Probably the most memorable visually. Your thoughts on the music of the episode?
I thought in that one, the best scene of the episode, I think the music in that was pretty excellent, I'd say. That one specifically.
Yeah, I think this was much, much better musically than episode 1. Yeah, so let's listen to 3 tracks. The first track is from the great scene that we mentioned. And it is the same as the title of the episode, A Night of the Seven Kingdoms. Before we get into this, I probably should have mentioned, and I didn't mention this before, but this scene has a lot of significance, her being called A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, because Sir Duncan the Tall, who is the main character in the upcoming spin-off that comes out in January, from, like, I think it's like 80 or 90 years before the main series. Sir Duncan the Tall is like Brienne's hero, like her like idol. And so this is kind of her fulfilling what Sir Duncan the Tall was to her. That is something that's fleshed out way more in the books. But I think there is a mention in the show. She does mention Sir Duncan the Tall at points. And when because I've read A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, when that show comes out, you'll kind of get to see why Dunk is such a hero for Brienne, because they have a lot of similarities in the sense that they come from, you know, being very downplayed by the world, despite the fact that they have great honorable intentions and a lot of talent. For the episode and for that scene and this track and the idea of it being named after the series that Sir Duncan the Tall is the main character of, it's very fitting that Brienne is a mirror image of Dunk in that scene. It's like another reason why it's such a monumental moment. And I think when that spin-off show comes out, I think when people revisit the knighting scene from season 8, it'll mean even more in hindsight, now that they've seen Dunk's story. Yeah, very lovely.
Yeah, really great. Really, really great. I was just thinking during that one, man, I love violins used for emotional scores. I think that's like just one of my absolute favourite sort of just like sounds. It's such a... the term pull on your heartstrings is very apt when it comes to violins. I think it's such a beautiful sound for scenes like the one we saw, because I think it has so much weight to it. Yeah.
Yeah, I
think that's an excellent song for that scene.
My theory on that is that I feel that it's because the string on a violin, they are very similar to the strings in your vocal cords, and so it's a very pure sound. And the sound of a violin feels like it's speaking to you in a very deep way, which is why it's so effective in a drama.
Yeah, always.
Yeah, it's a beautiful song for the best scene of the season by a fucking country mile. And like, if we're talking about seasons 5, 6, 7, and 8, like the second half of the show, it's a contender for the best scene of that run, I would say.
Easily, it's definitely one of the best.
It's one of the best for sure.
Yeah, I just look in the comments on this soundtrack. It's pretty much unanimous of like, this is the best scene from that season, easily.
Yeah, it's pretty much unanimously agreed that Brienne's knighting is the highlight of season 8.
Mm-hmm.
Not much competition, so.
Yeah.
But it's because it's a scene that feels purely out of peak Game of Thrones. It has that in it. Yeah, lovely stuff. Our second track is the song that Podrick sang. It's called Jenny of Old Stones. It is a famous song in universe. It's kind of similar to like the Rains of Castamere or the Bed and the Maiden Fair. It's like a famous, #1 hit on Westeros, Billboard.
FM.
It's a tragic tale.
Mm.
And like the calm before the storm, I guess you could say.
Yeah, that's that.
So that's what the episode's meant to be. It's meant to be the calm before the storm.
Yeah, definitely.
The song's meaning reflects the mournful theme of love and loss. And it's depicting Jenny of Oldstone's dancing with ghosts. And sort of like the idea that she's grieving after the death of her love. It's interesting because it's both the idea that they are all about to head into a battle where they could all die. Singing that song before that makes sense, but also a lot of people interpret the song as being foreshadowing for what happens with Jon and Daenerys as well, given the circumstances. But we'll get to that when we get to the end of season 8. But yeah, it definitely does sound like an old song, doesn't it? An old tale. The third song is called Stay 1,000 Years. Unfortunately, the song originates from that scene from the first episode where Jon and Dany go to that ice cave place. So it's not the greatest source, but we'll see what the actual score has. So I don't know if you could tell, but that is a chorus opera version of the Jon and Dany love theme.
Right.
It actually doesn't appear in the show, but it is the last piece of music that Raymond Javadi made for Game of Thrones. He decided to just like at the end he was like, I'm just gonna make this because I want to. He decided to make like that operatic version of the Jon and Dany theme. I almost wonder if this is him saying, I wish I could stay making music for Game of Thrones for 1,000 years. That's a sort of goodbye to the show. Even though he is also making music for House of the Dragon, but it's obviously a different show.
Yeah, really good That's just really nice sound. I've always like just loud, choir-like songs.
The only notes I have about the books is that the knighting ceremony is much longer in the source material, so they shortened it for the scene. And also that Dany doesn't have any reason to believe that Rhaegar raped Lyanna. I actually do wonder where that comes from in the show. Like, who told Dany about Rhaegar raping Lyanna? Because we never see it. Viewership. The first episode of Season 8 got 11.76 million, which was slightly below the Season 7 finale. This episode got 10.29 million, so slightly below that. So it's gone down slightly from the first episode, which is normal. That does tend to happen.
Yeah.
But it's still an absurdly high number.
Yes.
Give your conclusion and rating out of 10 for A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms.
Well, better than previous episode. Some really good highlights. But it's still massively flawed, with a lot of weird decisions. Narrative choices have been really strange, and just scenes being cut short, scenes being ended in weird ways. It's still a very, very, very flawed episode. So I think the fact that it does contain one of the best scenes in the past couple seasons, I think I have to give it a pretty decent rating. I would say, it's fair, not many people think it was decent, but I'm going to be kind because it contains such a fantastic scene and say 5 out of 10.
Yeah, Another of the Seven Kingdoms is an interesting episode because it's sort of like, some people look at it as a diamond in the rough because of how much better it is than what's around it. But the issue is that when you actually compare it to really great stuff earlier in the show, it's actually not as impressive as you might think. However, the knighting scene with Brienne is so fucking good that it almost tips the balance of its quality. However, as you said, and as I've said, there's a lot of issues and a lot of flaws. And the positives, whilst they are there, don't make it an overall good episode. So I will give this a... trying to think, thinking back to scores I've given to other stuff. I'm going to give this a 4.5 out of 10. Yeah, 4.5 out of 10. It's like, because I feel that whilst the Brienne knighting scene is awesome, the overall big picture in the show is still a mess and still a massive hindrance against it. And yeah, that does not help things. So yeah, I'm going to say 4.5. Despite the fact that it has one of the best scenes in a long time. Next time we have The Long Night. We have the 4 episodes written by Dave and Dan left.
Oh my god, we've actually... This is it. We've actually made it to the point of no return.
We've gone past... we're past the safety net now. This is the actual big episode.
This is literally why we did this in the first place. Is these 4 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
We knew it was coming from the very start. It's taken us 6 years to get to this point, and now we've got 4 episodes to go, and they are the most destructive episodes of TV history, and I cannot wait.
I'm not going to say that there aren't a couple of redeeming moments, but the greatness that is Game of Thrones, you've seen the last of it. In this episode,
it died this episode.
The Brienne knighting scene is the last great scene in the show, for sure.
Oh, that's why I said, literally as we finished the episode, that this felt like the final swan song of Game of Thrones as a respectable television series.
Yes, we're in the end game now. We're properly in the end game.
Indeed we are.
And of course, we have to give each episode its own focused review. So, disregarding, obviously, you know, episodes 4, 5, and 6, just focusing on what's next, your thoughts going into The Long Night, rewatching The Long Night.
It's so long ago that I generally don't know what I'm going to remember. There's a lot I do remember just from the fact of the discussions around it. So I know what to expect in some regards, but I just think the actual experience of watching it is going to be really, really strange. Yeah. But we're here. We've made it. So all we can do is watch it next time.
I'm very much looking forward to the fun time we're going to have watching The Long Night and The Last of the Starks and The Bells and The Iron Throne. Because it's quite an
boy, yeah.
It's quite the way to end a show. It is quite the way to end a show. Let's just say that.
It's quite, what a ride.
Well, with that said, we will see you all next time for Chapter 1 of the final stretch. Chapter 1 of the Mount Rushmore of shit. That is the end of Game of Thrones. Chapter 1 of 4 of the worst things I've ever watched.
Yeah, let's go.
We'll see you all for The Long Night. I bid you adieu, a good night, and a goodbye.